Live from the headquarters of Common Sense, this is Common Sense Christianity. As always, I'm your host, Ethan Foster, here today with another episode. Guys, make sure you subscribe and like this video. Go check out our podcast and Instagram account if you want more great content like this. Make sure you leave a comment below, and I will respond to it as quickly as possible, either in writing or in our next video. So our verse of the day, guys, it's a shorter one, comes from Acts 4:28, and it says, "They did what your power and will had decided beforehand should happen." That is Acts 4:28. So I was looking through the internet and found some interesting atheist arguments that I am gonna talk about very briefly. Let's see if I can share my screen so you guys can see it. Let's see. No. Oh, well, there it is. All right. So, right here. So, it talks about our arguments for God aren't convincing. And it says weaknesses of the proofs that God exists. There are a number of traditional arguments used to prove that God exists. However, none of them convinces atheists. Here they are. The argument from design. The universe is such a beautiful and orderly thing that it must have been designed. Only God could have designed it. Therefore, since the universe exists, God must exist. An atheist might refute this by saying, actually, the universe is not particularly beautiful and orderly. Even if it was, why should there be a designer? And modern science shows that most of the natural things we think of as design are just products of the process, like evolution. So this is interesting because it makes several points here. I'm going to try and not lose my place. So it says actually the universe is not particularly beautiful and orderly. Well, how is it not? Now, sure, you can argue that most of the universe is hostile, but there is just this one planet that we know 100% sure that can harbor life, and that is Earth, right? So when we look at the universe from our position, we can look into the Milky Way and see it is beautiful, it looks organized. Now, yes, the universe is chaotic in a sense in other places, but everything is just right for us to be here. So that's what I think most Christians mean by an orderly universe. So continuing on, we think of God as a perfect being. If God didn't exist, he wouldn't be perfect. God is perfect, therefore God exists. I don't know if I like this argument. We think of God like what... This I will agree with atheists on. Most atheists think this argument is so feeble that they don't bother dealing with it. Professional philosophers usually reject it on the grounds that existence is not a property of beings. Yeah, I can actually agree with that. This isn't really an argument for anything. Now, of course, that's just my opinion. You can use it, but it's not really convincing in any way. Because arguing just from perfection or morality isn't really an argument. So the first cause argument, everything that happens has a cause. Now, this is something I 100% agree with, and it is my main argument for God. I forgot to share my screen, so let me go in and share it. There we go. Therefore, the universe must have a cause. That cause must have been God. Therefore, since the universe exists, God must exist in order to have caused it to exist. An atheist might respond by asking, what caused God? And what caused the cause of God, and so on. The argument might proceed that if God didn't need a cause, then maybe the universe didn't need a cause either. If God was already perfect before he created the universe, why did he create it? How did it benefit him? Why would he bother? And if the universe was caused, perhaps something other than God caused it. So there's a lot of good questions here, and I like discussing this for this particular reason. It gets me as a Christian thinking. So first, what caused God? So in the Christian belief, since God is the creator of space, time, and matter, then he cannot be made of space, time, and matter. Now, time requires that everything that has a beginning has an end, right? So if it has a beginning, then it would have to have a cause. So if God is not constricted to the laws and the boundaries that space, matter, and time would constrict us and everything in the material universe, God doesn't have to be a part of those rules. So therefore, he wasn't created. He exists outside of time. So since he exists outside of time, he is an eternal, non-timely being, if that makes sense to you. I will clarify it if you guys write it in the comments below. The next question, that if God didn't need a cause, then maybe the universe didn't need a cause either. So this is unfair to compare for the reason that the universe is constricted to the laws of the universe, but God is not constricted to the laws of the universe because he created the universe, so he cannot be held to those laws and principles. If God was already perfect before he created the universe, why did he create it? I think this is not really anything interesting to get into, because it's not reasonable to ask why someone created it. It's just if he created it. That's the important question. How did it benefit him? Now, I don't know. Ask God. Why would he bother? And if the universe was caused, perhaps something other than God caused it. Well, sure, but give me an alternative. What would be a reasonable alternative to God causing the universe? I will briefly go over this argument from evil. I'm running out of time. I have an appointment in a bit. The existence of evil seems inconsistent with the existence of a God who is wholly good and could do anything. The argument goes like this. Most religions say that God is completely good, knows everything, and is all-powerful, but the world is full of wickedness and bad things keep happening. This can only happen if God is unwilling to prevent evil, in which case he is not good, or God does not know about evil, in which case he does not know everything, or God cannot prevent evil, in which case he is not all-powerful, or some combination of the above. And so there is no being that is completely good, knows everything, and is all-powerful. And so there is no God. Theologians and philosophers have provided various answers to the argument, and they all agree that it gives useful insights into the nature of God, evil, and belief. So again, another interesting and challenging argument, and I will go over it briefly. God is not unwilling to prevent evil. It is the simple fact that he gives us choices in the matter. So we all know the Adam and Eve story. In that story, Adam and Eve deliberately disobeyed God. And that is a problem, because if you're going to disobey God, then you have chose the alternative. You either follow God's laws or you don't. And the opposite of that, he has to punish you, or else he wouldn't be all just. Number two, God does not know about evil. Well, that's if you believe in the Christian God, then that's not even something to consider. God can't prevent evil, in which case he is not all-powerful. He can, but that is breaking the principles that he set for us, which is the freedom of choice, the freedom to do what you choose, or some combination of the above. No, based on the reasons I gave. That's a brief explanation talking about these atheist arguments. It was lots of fun to talk about. If there's anything I missed, leave it in the comments below, and I will get to it as soon as possible. Either I'll write to you or make a video on it, or both. It depends on how lazy I am these next few days. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Common Sense Christianity. If you have a question for me personally, you can email me at commonsense.christianitypodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Ethan Foster, here with Common Sense Christianity.